Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is gonna do his Whitebeard Edward Newgate One Piece discussion video for you guys to enjoy, to talk about, and to shed some light on the character that is Edward Newgate. Now, before I get started with this discussion video, what I do want to say is that last week, if you guys don't know, last week I had computer troubles from Thursday till Saturday, and I could not post any videos on my channel. So from now on, what I'm going to do is that if you are a member of my Facebook fan page, you're going to see my schedule for the week. So if you go down right now and click on the link below, that is my Facebook fan page, you should see my schedule about which videos should come out on which days. Like what should come out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and so on and so forth. If there are going to be any changes to my schedule, then those changes will be updated on the Facebook fan page. So if you are very curious about which videos are going to come out later on during the week, so you have prior knowledge as to what to expect from me and my channel, then look on the Facebook fan page, all right? So, I mean, if you want to. If you don't care, fine. Fair enough, all right? I'm just letting you know it's there for you. It's there for you, okay? Now, that being said, let's get on with Edward Newgate, Whitebeard. This, I mean, honest to God, Whitebeard is a great man. He is a great... When he died, I was tearing up. I swear to God. When he died, I was tearing up. A grown man was tearing up to an anime. That's kind of sad, but I don't care. I don't give a shit. Whitebeard, I respected him. The fact that it was only one arc, we see Whitebeard, and in one arc, I can respect that man so much. Usually, it takes more than one arc for me to respect a character, like 2 or 3 or 4 arcs. But when Whitebeard came in, and the shit he did, and his logic, his enthusiasm, his charisma, his intensity, his ferocity, everything about the man, Whitebeard, was so compelling and so motivating. When you saw him, it was just like, yo, this man is like, I would want a grandfather like Whitebeard, like 17 feet tall, big ass mustache, and some crazy ass spear on his arm. Like, yeah, come to me. Like, screw it. Why not? All right, why not? If your pops or if your grandpops was like him, you are lucky. You are so lucky. You have no idea. But what I will say, on a serious note, is that Whitebeard, the thing about Whitebeard that people assume is that because Sengoku stated that he was the strongest man in the world, that people assume that he is the most powerful person in the Whitebeard world. I mean, in the One Piece world. This is false. This is false in of itself during the Marineford War. Now, if you remember, Marco stated that Whitebeard had neglected his own health, which is the main reason as to why Squad was able to stab Whitebeard through the chest and out through the back. Now, we can assume that if in fact Whitebeard was in perfect health, like for example, if he was 40 years old, then Whitebeard could have easily dodged or blocked the attack that Squad had initiated on Whitebeard. But the thing is that we can assume, and here's the way I see it, alright? Whitebeard in a period of time, he was known as the strongest man in the world. I'm assuming that after the death of Goldie Roger, because Goldie Roger, I'm assuming, is stronger than Whitebeard. So if Goldie Roger, since he is king of the pirates, so if he conquered the Grand Line, which Whitebeard did not do, though Whitebeard did not really care about that, since his purpose was having a family. So the thing about Whitebeard is that after the death of Goldie Roger, he was probably uncontested. Because if you remember, Goldie Roger was dead, and Shiki was in prison for a very long time. Once Shiki escaped prison, he left and he created the floating islands, and then he, applied his plan. So there was no one who contested Whitebeard for a long period of time. I'm going to say for 10 years plus. So we can assume that for 10 years plus, Whitebeard was the strongest person that existed in the One Piece world until people like Kizaru, Aokiji, Akainu, and so on and so forth gained their skills and abilities and honed their like how they honed their skills and how they became admirals. Also, we can assume that in that period of time, people like Kaido, Big Man, and Shanks rose to power, as well as Monkey D. Dragon. So I'm going to assume, because again, when you say that he's the strongest man in the world, you need to put Whitebeard above people like Akainu, Sengoku, Kizaru, Aokiji, Shanks, Big Man, Kaido, Dragon. And the problem is that we haven't not seen these individuals fight. We don't know their combat prowess or their destructive power. So we can't say if in fact what Sengoku was saying was true. In fact, during the Whitebeard War, if you remember, when Whitebeard jumped down and he engaged in combat with the Marines, Whitebeard lost to Akainu. That's true. Understand that for a majority of the combat that Whitebeard engaged in during that Whitebeard War was against Akainu. And Akainu bested Whitebeard in combat. Whitebeard was able to defeat Akainu only because of the fact that Akainu was distracted with Monkey D. Luffy and Ace. Once Ace escaped, Akainu turned his attention towards Ace and Luffy. And thus, he tried to kill them. He killed Ace, and then he was going for Monkey D. Luffy, and then he turned around and bam, Whitebeard was there. And thus he cracked him with the fist. So Whitebeard was able to defeat Akainu only because Akainu was distracted during the war. That is the only reason why. But when it came to single one-on-one combat, Akainu was besting Whitebeard. And thus, right there, the notion of Whitebeard being the strongest man is negated. It is negated. So him being the strongest person is assumed, or I'm going to assume that it was the 10 plus years after the death of Goldie Roger and the imprisonment and the disappearance of the Golden Lion Shiki. That is the only reason why that is the only reason why Whitebeard can be considered the strongest man. Now, the thing about Whitebeard is that he has haki, alright? He has armaments haki, Conquering King haki. It's hinted by his men that he has the Conquering King haki. To what degree we have no idea. But the only haki that we see from him is armaments haki. When he stabs Aokiji, and then his men says he got stabbed by haki, Aokiji's dead. Which, of course, he wasn't dead, because skilled Logia, anticipate being attacked by haki, and thus they prepare for that by going into the elemental form beforehand. Now, the thing about Whitebeard that made him so devastating was his ability, the Gura Gura no Mi, which is a Paramecia type devil fruit, and had the ability to create vibrations, which is why he's able to create undersea earthquakes, airquakes, and so on and so forth. Now, Whitebeard, the thing about Whitebeard is that because he was a decrepit old man at the age of 72, we can assume that his prowess with the Gura Gura no Mi wasn't at its finest. Meaning this, when you take a look at Whitebeard, and he tilted the ocean, which was sick. That was sick, okay? When he tilted the ocean, we see Blackbeard do the same thing. Blackbeard did it, but what happened was, in the anime, they added the effect of him rifting the sky in half. So, and he was a newbie. He had just gotten the powers of the Gura Gura no Mi. So, we can assume that because he did the same technique to a greater extent, then we can assume that Whitebeard's prowess with the Gura Gura no Mi had decayed over the course of, I'm going to say, from the time he was 60 until the time until the time of his death. So I can assume that because Blackbeard showed greater prowess with the technique. Not greater control, greater prowess. Okay? And of course, when it comes to Whitebeard's character background, we don't know how he became a pirate. We do know that we do know that once he was a pirate, he wanted a family. His goal was to have a family, to have sons. So this would imply that maybe he never had a love. Maybe he never had a woman. Or maybe he couldn't have kids. And maybe his crew was in place of this defect. Maybe. And the rest of Whitebeard's background is basically how he attains his crew, the meeting of him and Goldie Roger, the meeting of him and Ace, and that's pretty much it that we know so far. Now, the thing about the meeting between Goldie Roger and Whitebeard is very important. Why? Because Goldie Roger was willing to tell Whitebeard the location of Raftel, the location of One Piece. So, and Whitebeard didn't care. He had no intention of going there. He did not care. So, but Goldie Roger did tell Whitebeard one very important thing. And that important thing was the will of D. Whitebeard knows what the will of D is, which could have been one of the major reasons as to why Whitebeard was so gung-ho on saving Ace. I mean, granted, Ace was one of his children, but maybe some of the reason as to why he was so spurred on freeing Ace from the imprisonment and from stopping the execution was because he knew what the will of D was and how important the will of D is for the overall story. When it comes to him, for the world that is in fact the One Piece world. Now, Whitebeard said it himself. When he dies, a lot of things were revealed. Before I get started with that, I do want to say that Sengoku mentioned that Whitebeard had the power to destroy the world. Destroying the world could have meant a lot of things. Here's what I think. When he said destroy the world, I think he means the world as in like the populace of humanity. Not the world itself, but the population of humanity. Because Whitebeard, in his prime, he could have had the ability to destroy islands and massive islands and continents very easily. Very easily. Because it is within the realm of his power to destroy continents and islands. He could easily do that. So, him destroying the world could have meant him destroying human population or him destroying humanity. That could have been him destroying the world. Now, when Whitebeard died, and keep in mind, this is very, very important, alright? Very important stuff. When Whitebeard died, 3 things occurred. 2 things before his death, the moment before his death, when he had his speech, and then 1 thing occurred after his death. The thing that occurred after his death that is very important to keep in mind is that we see Whitebeard's islands being ransacked and being pillaged by other pirates. The reason why this is so important is that we see that Whitebeard provided stability within the New World because he owned island territories. Now, other Yoko, such as Kaido and Big Mom, also own island territories, as does Monkey D. Luffy. He owns 1 island territory, Fishman Island. Now, keep in mind that Big Mom, in the manga, in the series right now, Big Mom is now targeted by Monkey D. Luffy, and maybe even Law. So, if a Yoko were to die, for example, if Big Mom were to die, then her island territories would also be under siege by former pirates. By current pirates. The Yoko provide stability in the New World that the Marines cannot. It is that simple. The Yoko provide stability in the New World that the Marines cannot. Which means that the Yoko are a necessity when it comes to maintaining peace and order within the New World. Because the New World is such a dangerous place and such a chaotic place, the Marines themselves cannot maintain systematic order at all times within the New World, but the Yoko can. People who are famed, like Monkey D. Luffy, who have very high bounties and who are known throughout the globe, they can maintain order within the New World. And Whitebeard showed that. When he died, his places got ransacked. Fisherman Island, they had to go underneath the banner of Big Man, just so other pirates wouldn't just so pirates wouldn't be swayed to steal, burn down, pillage, and destroy Fisherman Island and its structure. So Whitebeard showed us the importance of the Yoko. Now, when Whitebeard died, two things were revealed that are very, very important. I mean, insanely important. The first thing is that he stated that once someone finds One Piece, this will engage, or this will spark a war that will encompass the entire world. Why is it that One Piece, once it's found, will spark a war that encompasses the entire world? Because One Piece, the treasure, is prevalent in the entire world. That's the reason why. One Piece is going to be important. Once One Piece is found, it's going to literally change the world. Literally. Or it changes the structure of the world, meaning that it fucks with the Marines and the world government to such an extent where their governing function will their governing function will be destroyed or be under threat, under serious threat, once One Piece is found. The second thing Whitebeard mentioned, once he died, he talked to Teach. He was talking about Teach. He said, Teach, the man Gold D. Roger is waiting for is not you. Why would he say that? When Whitebeard was about to die, he stated to Teach that, Teach, the man Gold D. Roger is waiting for is not you. This could imply that Gold D. Roger may be alive. I know it's out there, but why would Whitebeard say something along the lines of the man Gold D. Roger is waiting for is not you? Why would Gold D. Roger be waiting for someone if Gold D. Roger's dead? Unless he's not dead. I'm just saying. Because we do know that he was executed. We see the two things go in his body and stab, okay? Now, and he had a disease. He had a fatal disease. So obviously it's assumed that he's dead. And I'm pretty sure that he is dead. However, what could that possibly mean when Whitebeard said the man Gold D. Roger is waiting for is not you? This could mean that Gold D. Roger may have left his essence, his soul. Because remember, Haki is the activation of soul through one's will. So maybe the ability to hear all things may have to deal with Gold D. Roger's essence still being in Raftel, waiting for the will of D, or the appropriate person who is a member of D, maybe. Alright, it's a far-fetched idea. It's a super far-fetched idea. But that is a possibility. Whitebeard has encouraged the possibility that the soul, the spirit, the essence of Gold D. Roger may still exist within Raftel. And once One Piece is found, Gold D. Roger, the image of Gold D. Roger, may appear before the person and give them information and tell them what this is, what One Piece is in full. Okay? So that's my discussion video for you guys today with the Whitebeard discussion. Whitebeard, So give me your thoughts on Whitebeard Edward Newgate. This man is a great man. When he died, I was tearing up for sure. His power is immense, but not the greatest, because we see that people like Akainu were actually beating him and besting him in combat. Though his destructive power is, at a time, was able to probably destroy continents or massive islands. And his notion of One Piece the treasure and the will of D, very important shit. Keep that in mind. That being said, this is the King of Lightning, and I'll see you guys later. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe. Peace. Have a nice day.